We are live now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session of Sustain Talks, a platform where we cover inspiring stories on sustainability by interviewing changepreneurs. Today, we have with us Mr. Satyajit Hange from Two Brothers Organic Farms. Hello, sir. Thank you for taking your
Hello.
time from your schedule to share with us your story and the amazing work that you and your brother have been doing.
Thank you for inviting us. It's a pleasure to share what we do with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So before starting with the interview, I'll quickly brief everyone about your venture, Two Brothers Organic Farms. So not many dare to invest their time and money in a career like agriculture, which many suggest as unprofitable. But two brothers, Satyajit and Ajinkya, were determined to prove others wrong. They not only produced organic food but also took the message about the benefits of organic farming far and wide. Their success story is one of determination and innovation. Two Brothers Organic Farms is a venture based near Pune and devoted to organic farming. So, currently, this venture sells a variety of organically grown fruits and veggies. Besides that, they sell pulses, pure ghee, and superfood foods like sun-dried moringa under the brand name Amor Earth. As a part of its business philosophy, Amor Earth follows all the organic standards and is also certified by EcoCert. Now, Arya here, she'll quickly brief you about what Sustain and Save is about and what our change makers have been up to for the past few months.
Hello, sir. Basically, Sustain and Save is a one stop solution on sustainability created by Indians for the world. We at Sustain and Save believe in creating corporate impact by bridging the gap and connecting green services and product companies all over the world. We at Sustain and Save believe in reverse logistics, focusing on ways to be used in a better way. This initiative was started by Pranati and Ankita Shroff, who on this Earth Day, 22nd April, um, with the motto to bring about change by our young change makers. Today we have a team of 100 plus young change makers from all across the world, India, UK, USA, and many more places. Over the past
Super.
months, we have collaborated with many government institutes and educational institutions, collaborated with the Swedish government as well as the Indian government. Over the past few months, we have had many e-panel discussions and sustainable initiatives and inspiring stories from various speakers, through which we have created a lot of impact. And recently, we have also collaborated with IKEA, Rudra Swatch, and many more companies. So this is what we have been doing for the past months. And now talking about Payal, she is going to interview you today, and she has been an active change maker, helping us with the design team. And over to you, Payal.
Thank you, Arya, for the introduction. We, as a team of change makers, are delighted to have you here today. First things first, I would like to address one thing. Amor Earth's website has beautifully curated content. I went over a few blogs the other day, and I must admit, they are so well written and very informative if you read them carefully. So, heads up to that. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Okay, so
Yeah, we
let's
do
jump
believe
in.
in writing. Yeah,
Uh,
whatever we do in detail.
yes, that's great. So let's jump in to the first question now. So Satyajit sir, how did this wonderful tale of two brothers and organic farms came into being?
Superb. Firstly, I'm glad, to know about what you all do on the Sustain and Save. And, young students like you all who have got the gravity and realized the importance of living sustainably, and in your own way, you all are supporting this entire movement and advocating these things. So really commendable. I think at your age, we even didn't realize, what impact we were having on the environment and other repercussions. So congratulations, and I wish you all more energy in what you are doing. Okay, so coming to the story of Two Brothers Organic Farms. Two Brothers Organic Farms is an initiative that is run by Ajinkya and by myself in a small village called Bodhni, which is on the outskirts of Pune. And it's our ancestral house or ancestral village where we were born. So we're sons of farmers. A farmer who thought, and which he was right at that time, that farming has no economic, no economic scope, or farming has no social respect. Farming has no social respect, and he then put us in a boarding school in Pune with the objective that never come back to do farming. Study out there, take your qualification, work in big companies, move to bigger cities and bigger countries, but never come back to farming. The impression, if you go to see in rural India and basically in society, is that anybody who does farming does it because he cannot be employed anywhere else, and is the last resort. So there's no respect left in that. So with that idea, we were put in a school, in a boarding school in Pune, and we did all our education up there. But we used to come down to the village for our summer holidays, for our Diwali holidays. And whenever we were at the village for those 2 months, we used to see animals being reared in front of our house. We used to see food being growing. And all those things kind of just stuck into the mind. And we loved, watching those things and, thinking about that. But we were conditioned so strongly over our education that farming is not the right career to take, that we didn't have the guts to leave and do farming immediately, or to question many of the set beliefs and dogmas, and take farming as a career right after college. So we did what society expected from us. We got a good education, got an MBA, got working with good corporate banks, and once we did and tick marked all those things that were expected from us very early on, that's when we actually started reflecting back on what we love doing, and we soon realized that this is not a life that we wanted to live. A life in a city, a life working in a sector that we had no interest in. What we loved doing and what we always thought about was being in the village, being amongst village folkmen, being on the farm, rearing animals, taking care of cows, growing food, living this kind of life. And it was clear that, this is where our interest lied and where our passion lied. So I think after mustering some amount of courage, it took us a good 4 years to, for this to grow into us and for us to muster that courage, because, you have taken an education for 18, 20 years and got to doing what you were trained for in those 20 years, and then suddenly questioning that and, making plans to leave it sound like bad investment. But then you realize that it's not bad investment when you're doing something you don't like, and then ultimately we quit. I think I was 6, 7 years into a job, and Ajinkya was 3, 4 years into a job when we quit and came back to farming and doing farming. And we had no idea about creating a brand, or all these things that you see now it was not the intentional idea. It was just to enjoy farming. But when we got back to farming, we kind of saw what was happening in the farm and in our village at that moment. And what was being growing primarily was sugarcane as a monocrop, banana as a monocrop, with heavy chemical usage. The income from that was very low. The soil health was getting devastated. The water holding capacity of the soil was, going from bad to worse. The biodiversity under the soil, over the soil, was all getting destroyed. And when we started knowing these things and becoming conscious of all these factors, uh, we couldn't go ahead with the present agricultural techniques and practices. And then we sat back and started to think as to what we would love doing it and which way we would love doing it. Organic farming, is a very esoteric concept in cities. It's like an utopian concept. So we were aware of it, but we never kind of knew how to do it, because sadly there are no courses in agricultural universities or any formal courses on how to do organic farming. I don't think more than 1% of farmers in India do organic farming. So it was very difficult to learn about this. But soon we got to knowing a lot by meeting other farmers across India, very small marginal farmers, guys whom we call uneducated or illiterate, were doing this kind of farming out of a spiritual interest for living and for not harming soil or other living organisms, and that appealed to us, and that's how we started and turned our farm organic. We decided we won't put a single chemical, pesticide, insecticide, weedicide, fungicide, nothing in the soil that is not natural. And we'll farm the good old way by taking cows, by making manure out of their cow dung, by administering that manure in the soil, by growing trees and fruits and vegetables that are heirloom, that are native to our soil, by creating a ecosystem, by creating a food forest. We'll grow our food, and that's how we got to this kind of farming. And we called it Two Brothers Organic Farms, because both of us were brothers who left a corporate career and got back to farming and changed the farm to an organic farm. So that's in a nutshell a story.
That's a wonderful story, and it reminds me something, that your love for nature is what drove you towards your passion. I'm not sure if I'm putting it into right words, but it initially started with your love for nature, but now I don't know, you have such a wonderful venture who is growing every day. So that's wonderful. So
Absolutely, I think love for nature, without knowing that that's love for nature, and
yeah,
that is the right thing to do and stuff. Anybody born in a farming family in a village and stayed in a village, automatically daily you're getting connected to the five elements of nature. Your feet are on the soil, your hands are in water, you're in the open air and sky throughout the day. So it is but natural that you become one with that, and you develop a liking for that kind of an environment, and you will take to it given a choice.
yes, right. So, unlike conventional farming methods, your venture uses animal manures, or what we can say biological agents to produce crops or whatever you produce. So, can you enlighten us a bit about how does a typical day look like for your team members or people who work with you?
Yeah, so unlike cosmopolitan agricultural techniques, we rely primarily on the cow's manure as an input for the soil. Now, the science behind this is that the manure that comes out from a cow's stomach um, has a lot of healthy, beneficial bacteria, you know. And if you study soil science, and if you study how to make soil fertile, it's a very simple technique or logic. The soil contains all the minerals, all the nutrients required by any plant for the next, hundred and thousands of years. The deeper you go into soil, the density of those minerals and those nutrients keep on increasing. But the format in which these nutrients or minerals are is in an unavailable format. It's like I'm giving you wheat grains to eat or rice grains to eat. You cannot eat it directly, right? You have to change the form to an available format. You make flour out of it, or you cook the rice and you make it in an eatable format, and then you consume it. So similarly, in the soil, the nutrients and all the minerals are in an unavailable format. Now, how do you make it in an available format so that the tree can take it? So the agent that makes these nutrients and minerals into an available format are the microorganisms. So it's your bacteria, fungi, nematode, protozoa, earthworms, and these are in a very high density. So in a teaspoon of healthy soil, and when I mean healthy soil, the soil like ours or other organic farmers, which has not seen any kind of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, in a teaspoon of healthy soil, there are more microorganisms than there are humans on Earth. So that is how living soil is. There's a difference between soil and dirt. Dirt is not living; it's just dust.
Yeah.
But soil that is healthy is very vibrant and living, and it is these microorganisms that keep turning the entire soil fertile and keep giving the plant through its root system all the minerals and all the nutrients that the plant needs. Now, how do you ensure that these microorganisms grow? So the best medium, like you want to turn your milk to curds, you require some bacteria, which is
Yes.
your lactic acid bacilli. You take it from your existing curds and you inoculate it, and you turn the entire milk to curds. Similarly, to turn that entire soil fertile and increase the number of microorganisms, you have to have some kind of inoculation, and that inoculation is a cow's cow dung, because a cow's, and when I say a cow, it's the native Indian indigenous cow. Some that cow, there are 32 surviving varieties of Indian indigenous native cows. Commonly, they're called Gir cows, Khillar cows, Deoni cows, Rati cows,
Wow.
Sahiwal cows, Ongol cows. Yeah, it depends on the region that they come from in India. So there are 32 surviving varieties. Now, these cows have been accustomed to our geography, to our fodder, from the last thousands of years. So the digestion is better and stuff. So when a cow dung comes out from these cows' stomach, it contains a plethora of microorganisms, which you just, as a farmer, take it and administer it on the soil, and you start turning the soil fertile. So this is how we are different from a conventional or contemporary, farming system. Now, how does a typical day look like for us? So we have two teams. One team that is on the farm that works alongside us, and we have another team that sits in Pune, and some of our team members that sit in Bombay. So the team that sits in Pune and Bombay do a lot of the office work. But on the farm, we have a huge team, and a typical day for us looks, we get up at around, I think, 6ish, 7. We get up 7:15, 7:30. We're at the we're at the cow shed, cleaning the cows for the cow dung and accumulating it and composting it every day. It takes us 2 hours to do that work. Then we come back to our house. It's an old house. It's called a wada in Marathi.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
made out of, yeah, it's made out of stone and wood, and
Yeah.
it's something that we have retained because it's made out of entirely nature friendly materials. There is no cement, there is no other chemical agents that are used to build this. So we come to our vada back, we have a breakfast of food, and then we're off to do some of the other work that requires our emails or stuff, other stuff, and then go back to the farm where we are growing our entire food forest, work alongside our co-workers out there for weeding, harvesting, sowing, planting, watering, and then come back in the noon and in the evening back to the house. Spend some time in the evening at the cow shed again when the cows are being milked, and then we have an early day. We retire by I think 8:30 daily.
Okay. That sounds like a happening day. I mean, there's so much to do, and plus you have three teams centered at three different locations which work together. That's amazing.
Yeah,
So
the day is quite physically active on the farm
yes.
compared to like we were doing a job in Pune, Bombay. The amount of physical, mobility we had in those jobs was very limited. Out here, on an average, you walk 20 to 25,000 steps a day. Uh, it's just general. You just go around the farm 2, 3 times, and you're walking so much. Physical work is very high, so you're moving around, you're picking stuff, you're working, you're doing a lot of physical activity. So by the end of the day, you're tired.
Yeah.
Anything you eat is good food. The moment you have food, and you're out within 20 seconds, you don't take more time to sleep.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us something about transitioning from. I've heard Amaranth has a mobile application. So, how did you transition from local stores to the digital platforms?
So we started off with supplying to hand cart vendors initially, and then gradually grew to supplying to malls, and then started doing a farmers market and put up an entire movement around farmers market in Bombay. our not-for-profit initiative is called Organic V, through which we do a farmers market every Saturday, and we participate in another organic farmers market every Sunday, where we interact with customers firsthand, tell them the entire story of how food is grown the right way, and create this entire community and awareness with them. That is one aspect. While doing this, as consumers of other goods, we realized that technology is reshaping the way people are shopping. And now the shop is in your pocket. You have, if you have a mobile app or you're on Amazon or you have a website, people can easily, with the ease of technology, go onto your site, see your work, and purchase from you. And it's very cost effective. You don't need to pay anybody uh, you know, any large margins or something. You don't need to stock up. You get the order, you can make stuff, and you can send it across. The customer is yours directly. You have his email ID, you have his phone number. You can interact with him, take feedback from him. So, technology and selling through your own website or app gives you all those benefits. So, it was a no-brainer for us when we comprehended that we need to be an online platform, and that's how we arrived at it. I think in the first initial part, 3 years back when we formed our own online shop, we didn't have a team, or nor did we have an agency to do this work for us. So I think me and Ajinkya, over a week, we just sat down, on Google, searched on how to,
Yeah.
put up an online shop. Just took a plug and play model that's a SaaS kind of a model, and plugged it, clicked photos with our mobile phone, wrote up other products, integrated our payment gateway, and we were off. And we shipped from our house, from our hall, a small house that we have in Pune here when we were doing a job. So our hall was the go down and the dispatch center for, I think, more than 1.5, 2 years out there. So it was awesome fun doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun DIY project to me. Okay, so today, organic is a full-fledged lifestyle, a lifestyle which more and more people are choosing as they are becoming health conscious or environment conscious. But the stigma around this organic in general is that people think they are costly, or they are costly when compared to normal products which provide the same benefit, or which we use for the same work. So I know it's a complex subject, and then there are many factors, which is why organic is a tad bit towards the higher end. But I would, as in even the audience would like to know, what are these factors or these reasons which make these products a bit costly than the normal ones.
Okay. So the answer is two pronged. Okay. And I would like to put across both the answers to you before you make any conclusion. One is, let me ask you, what graduate are you?
I'm
What is your
currently
education?
I'm currently in my third year of my bachelor's degree.
Okay, superb. So many of us go through an engineering course or a medical course and do an MBA, right? Uh, After you do an MBA, there are companies who come to pick you up, right? Who
Yes,
offer packages. Now, do you go to the lowest bidder or do you go to the highest bidder?
the highest one, of course.
That's
Yeah, that's a
absolutely right.
no-brainer. Yeah,
That's a no-brainer, right? Now, why will they offer you high? Because the supply of talent like you is less, right? If the supply of talent like you was more, they wouldn't have offered you a high package. So it's all about demand and supply. The supply is less of talented people, of intelligent people. So the price they command is high, right? The same thing.
yeah,
This is economics, right? So unfortunately, there are very less farmers who do organic farming. So there is very less produce that is of that quality, and hence it commands a higher price. Okay, that is one aspect. Now, this is simple economics which takes shape. If 99% of the farmers were organic, chemical food would have been costly, you know. But unfortunately, today 99% of the farmers are chemical based, so organic food is costly. That is one way of looking at it from the economic side. The practical side is that when you, as a farmer, grow organic, you grow a native heirloom variety. You do not grow the hybrid or genetically modified variety that gives you a higher yield, right? So I'll give you, for example, you eat chapatis. It comes from wheat. There is this native heirloom variety of wheat called khapli. Okay, it's called emmer long wheat. It's a brown long wheat. Now, this wheat has a history of over 5,000 years. Okay, this wheat is very low in gluten. It's very low on the glycemic index. It has high fiber. It's very good for your gut because it doesn't give you any kind of gluten intolerances or stuff. It doesn't spike your glucose levels. So even people with sugar, take to it easily. Now, this wheat is a native wheat which we organic farmers grow, gives us a productivity of 8 to 10 sacks an acre. Okay. Now, on the other side, the wheat that you eat and that you get from the market, the atta that you get from the market or the wheat that you get from the market, 99% of the farmers have shifted to a variety that is hybrid. Yes, there are many wheats, and you'll know the names of it. But these are all hybrid wheats. They have been modified in a laboratory wherein the yield can increase. Okay, so that a farmer can afford to grow them and people can afford to get food in large quantities. Now it's an excess. Wheat is stocked in government godowns that will suffice the entire Indian population for three years altogether. So there's an excess production. Now, this wheat is very high on gluten, it's high on the glycemic index, low on fiber, it spikes your glucose levels. It gives the farmer, on an average, 20 sacks an acre, right?
Mm.
So, and then the farmer uses chemical inputs and fertilizers like urea, potash, the other micronutrients in a chemical form to increase his productivity. So when you get 20 sacks of wheat, you sell it at $500 or $600, you get $10,000. But when you get 8, 10 sacks of wheat, you have to sell it at 800 rupees to make up for that loss in revenue. Organic farming has less input cost. I agree. There are cows and cow manure that you apply, but yet the cows require some kind of maintenance and you have to spend for them. So the productivity per se of an organic farm with native varieties is less compared to a chemical-based farm with a hybrid or a GMO variety, where the productivity is very high. So now if you analyze both these things, practically productivity is less, so you need to sell it at the right price. I wouldn't say it's a costly price. Okay, I would never say it's a costly price. It's the right price of food. To give you a comparison, 50 years back, you could get 2 sacks of wheat and sell it to get one tola of gold. Okay,
Yes.
which is now $50,000 a
Yeah.
tola. A teacher who was teaching in a primary school or in a college was paid equivalent to 2 sacks of wheat. Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
so a farmer, if he sold 2 sacks of wheat, he could buy that lifestyle that he wanted, and he could earn even more than a teacher in general. Now, if you go to analyze, a teacher is paid, a primary teacher in a government school in a village is paid 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 a month. Okay. One tola of gold is $50,000 today.
Yes.
2 sacks of wheat in the market does not cost you more than 2,000 rupees.
Yes. Right.
So look at the rise in income and the inflation and other aspects that have gone here. Now a farmer in 2 sacks of wheat, he can't get the lifestyle he wants to live, nor can he get his basic needs covered. So uh, that is no one has observed that. Everybody wants food cheap, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if your gold goes costly or your healthcare gets costly or your mobile phones get costly, your data gets costly, your clothes get costly, your electricity bills zoom up. No one is bothered about that. But the moment wheat, rice, milk gets a 2 rupee or 3 rupee costly, people are
Yeah.
wanting food cheap. Now, it ultimately goes back to haunt them and to harm them, because the moment you want food cheap, a farmer will grow food cheap. And how does he grow food cheap? He'll use more and more modified varieties of
Chemicals.
those,
Yeah.
cereal, pulses, legumes, lentils, and he'll use more and more fertilizers to increase productivity. So the chemical residue in the food increases manifold. But since you want food cheap, you will get food cheap, and it is never cheap. It has done a hell lot of damage to soil health, to water resources, to biodiversity, to native varieties, to the farmer's health himself, because he's spraying a lot of pesticides and chemical fertilizers, what he's applying. So I would say organic food is rightly priced, and people have to learn to pay the right price of food. When you pay the right price of food for farmers like me who are growing it the right way, it's sustainable. Otherwise, how do I give you good food if you're not going to pay me the right price for food? So, uh, I would say if you take all those two, three factors, you'll get an idea of whether it's cheap or it's costly, or whether it's the general maxim that goes around saying organic food is costly and organic food is costly. Costly compared to what? Costly compared to your health or to the damage that it's causing the environment. So there's another study regarding this done in the US where I think 30, 40 years back, out of a household's income, 14% of the income was allocated to food and grocery purchases. Okay. Over the last 40 years, that percentage has come to 8%. So people want their monthly income to be spent on other things than food. It's come down from 14% to 8%. And these are statistics from the US because, yeah. Because India, I'm not aware of the statistics and whether we do keep those kind of data with us. But this trend for having food cheap will go on, and it'll at the cost of your environment and water and other things that I told you.
And at the cost of human health as well. As it's not just the
Absolutely,
environment that's getting affected. You're doing harm to your own body as well. So I think you've wonderfully explained why exactly the cost of organic food is generally towards the higher end. I think that makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
Absolutely, you're putting something in your body.
Yeah.
What you wear is more costly than your one shirt or one trouser is more costly than a sack of wheat. Okay.
Agreed.
A sack of wheat costs $1,000.
Yes.
Many, even middle class today, wear clothes that cost combined more than $1,000. So people, I would say, are not, very conscious of what they're putting in their body rather than what they're wearing on their body. So, I mean, that's it.
That's a scary thing to imagine, and it's the truth. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so like you mentioned, establishing a startup and moving into the field of architecture after having such a cushy job, after um, educating yourself so much about the corporate world. So, what are the challenges you face on a daily basis, or have you faced so far, and how do you tackle them?
Oh, yeah, there are many challenges. It started with the opposition from society, from everybody we know. The moment we said farming, we were looked down upon. So that mindset initially troubles you a lot because somehow over the period of those 20, 30 years of growing up, you have, attuned to them, and whatever they say affects you emotionally. So that was the primarily challenge that we had when we were leaving a job and getting into farming. Once we got to farming, uh, you know, practices were not prevalent, the right practices. So to research them, to get your hands on them was a challenge. Third was when we grew this kind of food, while growing it all the way, people were very skeptical and uh, not so cooperative while we were growing it because you were going against the tide, right? You were not going in the herd instinct. Uh, so it was difficult to stay away. Third is when we had the produce and we tried marketing it. I remember our first experience was we had this papaya that we had grown organically. Compared to a chemical-based farmer, our productivity was half. We had 20 tons an acre. Chemical farmers get up to 40 tons an acre. But the papaya, when you cut it and when you eat it, it tasted like jaggery. It was so sweet. Um, Now, organic food is ugly from the outside, okay? And ugly is good as a concept in organic because you don't spray any kind of, pesticides and all. There are some spots, and there's the shine is not there. They're oddly shaped, and that is how organic is. It's nature does its own job. You're not trying to kind of interfere and make it all similar size and similar shape and shine and spotless and everything. Now from the outside it's ugly, but from the inside it's rich of nutrition and taste. So when we initially went to sell this papaya in the local mandis or markets that you call it, the agricultural produce marketing committees or market yards that you call it, there's an auctioning which happens. A farmer's goods are taken early in the morning and they're auctioned off to the best buyer. And we thought that we would get a value that is double the chemical-based farmer value because our fruit tasted like fruit. It tasted like papaya. Rest in the market when you eat, every fruit tastes the same. It's like you're eating some pulp. The banana tastes like
Agreed.
pulp. The apple tastes like pulp. The pear tastes like pulp, and the papaya tastes like pulp. The element of taste is very less. But this was rich in taste. But when we went to the auction early in the morning at 4 a.m. and we saw the entire process, we were given a rate that was half of the market prevalent rate. So if chemical-based papaya went at 8 rupees, we were given 4 rupees a kg for our produce. And that was a major, kind of a hit back to us, and major challenge on. And then the challenge arose that how do we sell it at the right price if we are growing food the right way, and if you're not going to get the value, how is it sustainable? Because to sustain in a business, and when we're not supported by any charity or donation, you have to make economic sense. So how do you do that? And that was one of the major hindrances that we came across, and interspersed many other. The biggest and out of the most volume of I would say hindrances came from people thinking about this kind of uh, profession as a profession, food, to convince people that you have to pay the right price for food. We never sell our stuff cheap, and that you have to allocate that kind of budget to your grocery and food expense, and how that has an impact on soil health and water resources and biodiversity and your health. To get this point across to many people was again a challenge. But all in all, I would yet say that every challenge that we face, and today also we face many, we love those, we relish them. It was never a case where we didn't enjoy a single thing. We have done odd jobs, we have driven, weekends, 700 kilometers for 3 years. We had drive down to the markets, we set up markets, sell, create communities. Everything, every challenge has been fun doing it, and we absolutely relish it. Yeah.
It's lovely that you're enjoying what you're doing, and this reminds me of me and my father, we did an experiment. So we had bought two apples from the market a month ago, and not two apples as in 2 kgs of two different varieties of apple. One was shiny and one was the normal yellow looking kind, which you mentioned, oddly
The
shaped.
ugly one.
Yeah, it did not have shine, it did not have that 100% natural sticker. It was just a basic apple. We cut both those apples and we just kept them. The natural one, as in I think it was natural. It started developing that what do you call FeO2? Yeah,
Oxidation.
oxidation happened, and within 10 minutes that apple was um what do you say oxidized. You can
Brownish.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it was natural and it had so much content of iron that it reacted so rapidly, and it was ruined within, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. And I still have that apple, the other one, and it's still shiny and intact. We bought those apples a month ago. We consumed all the natural ones, but the other one, I can still show a picture of that to you. It is still shiny, it hasn't deformed, and I doubt if I still cut it, it will look like, I don't know, plastic. Plastic does not age, it does not erode. That reminded me of what are we putting in our bodies. That's
Absolutely. So that one single case is a case of wax. You know, the amount of wax that is used to make the apple shine and look prettier. So in the trade language, when we got to this business, the traders told us that consumers consume by their eyes first and their mouth later. So you have to make a fruit that fits in their eyes. Don't worry about the inside, put any kind of chemicals, do any kind of crap, but outside it should look good. And that's how the market is. So I'm glad you did this experiment and came to a realization for yourself.
Okay. So this brings me to the last question, after which we'll have the rapid fire round and then we'll end the session. So, what are your plans for this venture? Are you going to introduce a new product range? Are you planning to expand? We'd love to hear.
So, when we started this, we had come from a background of a lot of planning. We had done an MBA and worked with Citibank, and we had a lot of planning aspect to everything. When we left that and when we came to farming, we consciously wanted to live, by the day. Every day, just go through it, and something will turn up tomorrow and do it. So honestly, all that has happened till date was not planned. We never plan that we'll deliver to customers in 43 countries and there'll be so much of support to what we do. We'll form organic farming clubs in schools, work with community institutions, have lovely customers come to our stall and on the farmers market, take it, have visitors from 14 countries come over to the farm and stay and learn. Nothing was planned. And I would love to tell you that we don't like planning in a very detailed sense, uh,
Okay.
because it sets a lot of expectations and it causes you nervousness and stuff. But yes, we do have a macro idea of where we want to go, because now that some momentum is growing and many farmers are expecting a lot from us and many consumers are expecting a lot from us, the way we do stuff is, when we come across something that's seasonal, when we come across a farmer who's growing it well, then we come out with a new product. It's never that, we want to increase sales and in the market there's a demand for this product, so you come up with this product. If you see our entire range of products, we make ghee, we make jaggery. Now, jaggery is made in a gurad. It's in a village cottage industry made on firewood. And we also make, peanut butter. We also make an immunity boosting powder. We also just collaborated with Paula and Mike to make some lovely dark chocolates. So this
Oh,
was
wow.
never planned, and a company would never have this kind of variance where they're making a village-based product and also a cosmopolitan contemporary-based chocolate. But the theme behind all this was that if it fulfills that objective of, pure, good for the soil. Now the chocolate makers, Paul and Mike, were growing cacao or cocoa organically in Kerala. So that was a tick mark for us. And then we told them, why not use jaggery instead of sugar and make the
Instead of
chocolate healthy?
sugar.
People will love eating
Yeah.
it. We tried those experiments. We made chocolates with jowar puff. We made chocolates with jaggery. We made chocolates with moringa powder. And those turned out to be superb. And it was fun doing that. And that became a product. So we never look at market and do stuff. Whatever we find fun, doing, and that is one of our prime, reasons of doing any product. If it's fun doing it, it's fun doing it with somebody. We, get doing that. So that is about product development. Yeah, there are many, and going in the future, there are many concepts that we have in mind that primarily would look towards helping many farmers, do this kind of farming, help many consumers get this kind of good food to eat, and in the entire process, benefit employees, benefit vendors, benefit the entire ecosystem. So it's not only a company that is run by targets in number of sales and revenue and
Yes.
stuff. We always watch our impact in every sphere. So if it's electricity we're consuming, how can we turn that electricity to a renewable source? So we're planning a solar plant. If it's water we're consuming, how do we harvest our own water? So we have a water harvesting pond that captures 4 crore liters of rainwater that goes to the river every year. If it's employees that or co-workers who are working with us, how do you take care of them holistically by giving them health insurance, by giving them social security, by giving them transport means, by giving them education? Farmers who work with us, how do you ensure that their family woman health is there, girl education is happening?
Yeah.
So, and then consumers, how do you give consumers the right value for their produce, the convenience of you have to also compete against an Amazon who delivers in one day. So how do you ensure you deliver in one single day? How do you ensure you deliver to consumers all across the world within 4 days? We keep in mind all those things and also tune ourselves for that.
That's a lot of information to process, but the but the fact that you have a vision and a mission on a macro level, but you're approaching the process on a day-to-day basis. One day at a time. That's wonderful. Yeah, I've heard this for the first time that a company is not driven by the sales or how is it doing in the economy, building a brand name. Of course, the building a brand is always important, but it is focusing mainly on sustainability and what people, how should people approach their lifestyle. How should people approach what they eat, what they consume. That's wonderful. I think even Sustain and Save's foundation is built on that. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's
I think we should
that's
have
great.
more of people who think like us, I think, and that
Yes,
can do
definitely.
some good in return to the entire ecosystem.
Yes. Okay, so let's have the rapid fire round now. So
Oh,
yeah, so the drill is I'll ask you 5 questions and you have to answer them in 10 seconds max.
so you'll ask me one question, one answer, one question, one answer, right?
So it depends on the question. If I ask you to answer in 3 words, you have to give 3 answers. So
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Now you're putting a farmer to a different test.
Yes. I think that'll be interesting to watch.
Please
Okay.
shoot.
So first question. Sustainability for you in 3 words.
Sustainability for me in 3 words is life. Uh, I think it's, and in one word, I'll encompass it. It's life, because if it's not sustainable, it doesn't mean life to many living organisms and to our future generations.
Okay. 3 things you're passionate about.
Farming, um, selling the farm grown produce, and you know working with communities, be it the consumer community, be it the farmer community, be it student communities.
Okay. 2 organic products which you think whose consumption will increase massively in the near future.
Ghee, for sure, because the entire science around ghee is now coming to the positive end. Um, Second is millets. Millets that our forefathers grew. Today you have north, south, east, west, everybody eating wheat, but that wasn't the case 100 years back. People in the north ate wheat. In Maharashtra, they ate jowar, bajra. In
Yes.
the south, they ate kodu. They ate, natsni in the Konkan side. There were a variety of millets and a range of millets that were super nutritious. That's vanishing. I think that trend will come again.
Okay. Uh, Amor Earth as a brand in 3 words. What does it represent?
Amore means love. Earth means soil.
Oh,
So it represents the love for soil.
I did not know that. That's wonderful. Okay. Your favorite Amor Earth product?
So you're trying to choose between, you know, all my products. It's very difficult, but I would say the favorite one is the ghee. I love the ghee.
Okay. I would have gone with the chocolate because chocolate tops everything. Okay, so that was great. Arya, do we have any questions or shall we end this session with a note from Sir?
Kailash, any questions on YouTube live?
No, we don't have any questions on YouTube.
Okay, all right. So before ending this session, it was a lovely session for me and for the audience, I guess. What quick advice would you like to give to today's youth? Like, for example, me, there's Arya. So people like us who are stepping into the corporate world or life in general at this age.
I would strongly recommend you follow your gut instinct, develop that gut, learn to take decisions yourself. There is some element, that strikes you when you're doing something, might be anything. Like for us, farming was that element which struck us when we came to the farm. We used to quietly take our cows for grazing, we used to take our buffaloes for grazing. Our parents used to scold us because that was not why we were educated. But that element that element appealed to us. um, I would say every youth in the country or every youth in general should follow what his innate interests are, and those innate interests might be anything. Though if you're a medical faculty student or an engineering faculty student, and you like something that is diametrically opposite to your field, I think you should take to it, because you get tailwind when you're cruising in your career. Otherwise, then you get headwind when you're not doing something that's not the area of your liking. So never ever compromise. You can compromise on your degree. Don't complete your degree, don't complete your MBA, don't complete your education, doesn't matter. But the moment you get that streak, or the moment you find your area of liking, and leave everything, and just do that. Single focus. Don't worry who the prime minister is and what's happening in politics and society and global warming. Is just stick to what it's one life that you have to live. And every day that you do stuff, you should be enjoying it thoroughly. Thoroughly. Though if it's a bad moment in business, yet you will never leave that business. So I would tell you all that stick to what you love doing, opt what you love doing, irrespective of any kind of opposition or any kind of resistance you face from society, from parents, from relatives, from friends, from what the entire conditioning has been given to you. Break free from that and just do your area of liking. Have trust in yourself, develop that gut, and start listening to that gut and following your gut instinct.
That's some lovely advice for everyone. Um, do what you're best at and pursue what you want to do and where you see yourself in the
Absolutely.
future. So start now. There's no need to,
No, 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 no. There's no need to
go
do
through
any
the
completion of anything.
process for the society and then because it's late. It's late if it's
Yeah,
so yeah.
you're
Okay.
losing time.
Okay. So thank you so much, Satyajit sir, for letting us interview you and telling us about your venture, the challenges you face, the vision you have for your company. So
My
it was
pleasure. My pleasure.
it was our pleasure to have you here, and hearty congratulations because you're working so diligently towards building a sustainable future for everyone. So thank you
Absolutely. I'm
so
just
much.
just building something that I love doing every day. I'm glad it's working towards the sustainability entire ecosystem also.
I can assure you it is.
Superb.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we can go offline now, Kailash. Can we end the live session?